They say resist is futile. That individual is out of style. It's a simulation of a but I know less about
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 2, Episode 14. The Icarus Factor is over, and it has been since April of 1989. But we're just getting started here for this May 1st, 2025, as we continue our mission to watch every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation and review it. I'm Dave Mader here on Live Long and Podcast, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, and you might be listening to us in audio and other places, perhaps. Who knows? And we got a great panel here at Live Long and Podcast to talk all about it. Coming in first here, we got the great Ashley Millard.
Hi.
Hello, Ashley. Welcome back. It's been a bit.
Thank you.
Coming in next, he's the co-founder of Live Long and Podcast, and subbing in for Becky. It's Jaemeel Robinson.
Hello, team.
Hi.
Hi.
And if you're going to San Francisco, make sure to wear some flowers in your hair. It's Heather Narduzzi.
Hello. My Ambo-Jitsu suit is at the cleaners, so I decided to wear these flowers and this somewhat culturally appropriative top as well to fit in with the
Right.
Ambo-Jitsu.
Yes, knowing where the Ambo-Jitsu is, I don't know if anyone brought a pain stick with them, but that would also have been appropriate. Yes, this is the... What episode number is this? The 40th episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. And in this episode, Enterprise's first officer, William Riker, must decide whether to accept command of his own starship, and negative feelings surface when his estranged father arrives to brief him on the mission. Meanwhile, crew members, including Wesley Crusher, Geordi LaForge, and Data, attempt to determine why Lieutenant Worf, a Klingon, seems more agitated than usual and discover that he is upset over not being able to participate in an important Klingon ritual. And that's pretty much the episode, everybody, in those couple sentences. But
Worf does love his rituals.
he does. Yes, we get a Worf kind of a birthday party, I guess, or a version of that for him. And yes, but I guess this is definitely more of a Riker episode, I would say. And it is, daddy issues all around, and everything else. Now, okay, we're getting into all the years and everything else about this, but Ashley, how was this one for you?
I always forget that the Worf storyline in this episode is the B storyline of this episode. Like in my head, these two storylines aren't together in the same episode, so it always throws me when I watch the episode. I remember liking it more than I actually did this time around. This watch.
Yeah. How do
you
feel?
liked it better before, or you liked it better this watch?
No, I thought I liked it better than I did this watch. So this
okay.
watch was not as... Yeah, I kind of finished it and went, I remembered liking that episode more, but I don't watch season 2 episodes very often, so it's been years since I've watched it.
Yeah. How did you feel about Kyle Riker's pants?
I dislike the
me
outfit.
Me too.
Absolute dislike.
Yeah, not good. I would say.
No.
I will show the visuals of it in a few minutes, but yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, it's not good.
Okay. Jaemeel, how about you next? What was your take?
So this episode was very sitcom-y for me. It just seemed like an actual Star Trek sitcom. in terms of the conflict being very interpersonal. Okay, for me, this was a very different episode, just in terms of how it was approached, because Becky, who was supposed to be on this episode, she's very sorry, very, very sorry that she wasn't able to make it.
Nice.
This was technically her first experience with Star Trek television. She's only watched Nemesis and the two Chris Pine movies.
Oh
Now,
no, we better show her some better Trek.
We know this 3, but she swore to me that there was only 2, right? So she's coming and not really knowing the characters, not really understanding what Trek is in general and how their stories come across. And she was really struggling with this episode. For the most part, she kind of got a good sense of like the interpersonal relationships. Sam.
See if she can follow that one.
To the interpersonal relationships, but she was getting hung up with one, the jargon, and 2, also how quiet the ship was. She's like, it's too quiet.
Like compared to a Star Wars ship, like would they be louder?
He specifically said Star Wars. It's like she expected more noise, and
no, because this is the flagship of Starfleet, not some bucket of bolts in the Star Wars universe.
They have different propulsion systems. They're going to have different levels of noise.
Well, she didn't get to the part with engineering before she had to bow out. And I was explaining little elements about the show, like if you'll notice, there's a general hum when you're watching it, and it just kind of fades into the background. But when you notice it, you really notice it. Also, when you get to engineering, the engineering has like a heartbeat. It's the heart of the ship, and and it feels that way, right? And it's in the background. You just don't realize it, but it's true. And the ship really takes on a persona of itself, right? So she swears the next episode she's supposed to be on, which I think is in a couple weeks.
Yeah, Manhunt.
She will be here. She will be there. But it introduced a lot of conversations about Trek, which was very exciting for me to kind of usher her into the world. So yeah.
Okay, well, and I'm sure that was an interesting experience watching it with a first timer as well from your perspective. Sam is saying you need to show her original series episodes like City on the Edge of Forever, Mock Time, and Balance of Terror.
No, we want her to like Star Trek.
Those are great episodes. I love them. Those are some of my favorite episodes from when I was a kid watching original Star Trek. But I want to find a Star Trek virgin who's never watched any of it and show them Sub Rosa as their first episode. Just want to see what they think of that episode.
Definitely.
You're an evil genius.
Just for an experiment.
Yeah.
How about you, Heather? How were the two plot lines in this for you? You said there wasn't a ton of fashion other than these Ambo-Jitsu outfits.
Well, Kyle Riker and his weird onesie, not my favorite, but this is an episode that I have a handful of episodes that I like to put on to go to sleep. Part of what I like about watching TNG, listening to TNG to go to sleep, is the hum of the engines. I really love that, and I was saying to Ashley right before we started the pod that because I put it on to fall asleep, I haven't watched the ending of it in a really long time, and I was like, oh, well, that was a dumb ending. Not the strongest writing we've ever had on the show, but there are a lot of things to like about this episode. So it's not terrible, but it's it's pretty good. It's all right.
Yeah, like that's kind of my feelings on it too. Like I don't hate this episode, but I wouldn't say I love it either. It's kind of it comes and goes, although it kind of sets up this ongoing storyline with Riker always being offered the captaincy of other ships and him constantly turning him down, and he's staying in middle management permanently, well, at least until I guess the events of Star Trek Nemesis, when he finally takes the promotion, right?
I hear that's Becky's favorite.
It's just the one she's seen.
Yeah.
Which is such a weird.
first Chris Pine one is better than Nemesis.
Yes, it is.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Nemesis
so
is
she's-
not good.
I wonder if she's seen Into Darkness or Beyond. Do you know?
I'm pretty sure it's Into Darkness.
At least Beyond is kind of fun. Into Darkness is not.
It's,
Seeing like two of my least favorite Star Trek movies.
Mm.
And
Have you seen the Section 31 film?
yeah, get her on that. So they will all be up from there for her. Then she'll think everything else is amazing.
Yeah.
After that,
I'll watch
Well,
Section
yeah.
31 again before I'll watch Nemesis again.
Yeah.
I still haven't
Nemesis
seen
is
it yet.
bad.
I still
what,
haven't
Nemesis
seen
or
Section
Section
31.
31?
Section 31 I haven't seen. I saw Nemesis in theaters.
Check in with us when you watch it. And let us know how you feel.
I don't know. Like sometimes you just don't want to punch yourself, really.
Mm.
So
Some of it's great and some of it's not so great.
Mhm.
Yeah. When I think of it now, I always think of that Irish guy.
Yeah, that was a terrible choice. But
Like he's and I remember Sean Ferrick interviewing that guy on his podcast or his channel and was like, "What was the choice of this Irish accent? Get it for me." But we're going to break down this episode in screenshots. Hopefully, if you're watching on the visual version, if not, we'll try to describe what we see along the way. The episode begins in engineering as the Enterprise is at warp. It was Riker and Data. They're going to Starbase Montgomery, I believe it's called, and they are going to figure out what's going on with some of their engine readings. It's not too important, honestly. It's like, but there's some maintenance going on here with the ship. There's this pull away shot, and then we see like Picard and Geordi are back here near the engine room, and I don't know. It's mostly just details around the maintenance and what they're planning to do, and how all these civilian engineers are going to come in and kind of like inspect the Enterprise's engines and Geordi's settings or whatever. And I don't know. Honestly, it didn't really draw me in too much. But the main point of all this is that at the end of it, Picard's like, "I want to talk to you, Riker, up in the observation lounge when you have a minute." And there's kind of like this, "What's this about? Why does Picard want to talk to Riker?"
Well, but my favorite thing about that is right before that, he mentions that there's going to be crew leaving, crew members.
Oh, he does mention
And
that.
crew
then-
transfer.
Yeah,
crew
and
transfer.
then crew
Yeah.
transfer, and then Riker goes coming or leaving, and he goes, "I need to talk to you in the observation deck." Like he basically spells it out to him that you're on the chopping block.
Yeah, you suck, Riker. You're fired.
As a person who is well versed in middle management and staying there, I feel for Riker, and I've been in that position where you get an ominous conversation before having to have a meeting, alone. I'm
Yes.
preparing for that. Yeah.
I'd like to see you later, sir. So then there's a little transition. We see that the Enterprise comes out of warp, and then up in the observation lounge, Picard is waiting for Riker up here in the dark, kind of.
sad.
He's sad.
Since there's no fashion, well, very little fashion to discuss in this episode, I'd like to point out the yucca in the background. I always like to notice the plant decor on the Enterprise because that same yucca has been moved around the Enterprise into every single room.
I want that job on the ship. Who just moves around the plants?
Who moves the plants? It's
That's
Dave. It's
Keiko.
Data.
It's Keiko.
I moved. Yeah, I put it
It's
in that corner today,
definitely
Captain.
Keiko.
I hope you like it. It's just for some flair. In the
And it looks so lush and beautiful because of Keiko. She takes care of all the plants.
Yeah,
She
it's probably
does,
Keiko.
yes.
It's actually Keiko doing it. So Riker then shows up, and basically Picard is congratulating him. He's like, "I received a message. You've been offered a command of your own, the U.S.S. Ares. It's going on this potentially dangerous mission to a distant sector." So Riker is kind of like, "Oh, well, thank you," and he's like, he's while the Enterprise is a great ship to be on, Riker, you're gonna love being your own captain. It's going to be amazing. So it's gonna be 12 hours, but I think Riker says he hasn't fully made his decision yet. And I think Picard leaves him shortly after that. And there's
And
sort of
then
this,
Riker looks thoughtfully into the future.
yeah, do I want to be a captain? I don't know. That's our teaser for the episode. And then we get into it. As the Enterprise arrives at Starbase Montgomery. Now, Starbase Montgomery is a planet, obviously, and it's not like named like Starbase, I don't know, 146 or whatever. So I'm still trying to figure out how Starbases get their names, or what one are named after a people and which ones are numbers, and there's no rhyme or
Is it
reason.
not?
But
Is it not named after Scotty? Maybe.
could be. There's other people named Montgomery potentially too.
I
But
I just mean to go out of your way to kind of name it like an actual name.
we'll
To
see if
me,
it, you're probably right. Like in fun facts, I could see that coming up, that this is at least a nod to Montgomery Scott in some way. From the
They
writers.
do like to reuse names and reference people and places and ships in that way. So it may very well be.
Could well be. On the bridge after the title card, I think that this is where Picard says, "Hey, we got like this civilian advisor coming in to help, brief us on something." Does anyone know what it was? Like it was like military tactics or something. Even though they're not necessarily going, I guess it also to deal with the Ares mission. I guess this is preparation for the U.S.S. Ares, which is going into this, hostile area potentially. So, Picard sends Riker to the transporter room to meet the advisor. I think Picard knows that he's sending Riker to meet his father. But
yeah,
I
he
totally
later
thought that too.
yeah, he later says that. He says that the father says, I told Picard to keep it a secret.
yeah, I'm gonna surprise him, and he's gonna go, "Daddy, it's so good to see you."
No, after 15 years estranged, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, but I guess
That would be a horrible surprise.
Picard does, I guess, know this about him, or
No.
I guess they've never discussed it. So, and Picard could probably relate, because Picard's relationship with his own father not the best.
Yeah, but his father's dead, not showing up in secret on his starship after 15 years of estrangement.
True.
I think it's a dick move of Picard to keep that secret. Do you have a screenshot of O'Brien from the side? Because his Starfleet issue pointy sideburns are insane in this one.
But he's not in this scene. He's not in the transport.
Oh,
room here.
it's a different transporter guy.
And it's hilarious to me that they have O'Brien. They brought him in for this episode and don't have him in the transporter room.
I know. It's
Like,
it's
why
like,
did
no,
they not
forward.
have him for this scene?
we're gonna hire this random extra. Well, he's not even extra, because I think he actually has a line, doesn't he? Like the
Yeah.
ensign who does it. So they're like, we're gonna hire this one guy for like 2 lines, and we're gonna pay him royalties in perpetuity.
Do you think that O'Brien possibly, there was supposed to be another character that was supposed to be in the O'Brien role, and then they just decided, let's just fit O'Brien in. We haven't used him, just fit him in instead. Someone couldn't make it.
Maybe he wasn't available for
Maybe.
this scene for some reason, and they just
Maybe he's too busy getting his sideburns on.
Yeah, he probably is. Anyway, so Riker materializes here, and I think Kyle Riker. I better correct myself here. Kyle Riker materializes, and Will Riker, not too happy to see him. He tells us it's been 15 years since he's seen his father, and he kind of just says, "Whenever you're ready for the briefing, we'll meet up. See you later." Right. So a little bit cold here, and we're saying that the cat's in the cradle in the silver spoon.
Having a little Harry Chapin moment right here.
Yeah. He's like, well, he doesn't want to hang out with me. I'm Kyle Riker. So after transition, we then meet up here with Worf, who is caught off turbolift by Wesley, and Wesley was like, "Hey, guess what, Worf? Riker, he might be taking a new assignment, and his dad's here." And Worf is not interested. Worf's not into this conversation at all. He's like, "So," and then he yells at Wesley to basically bugger off.
He's like a yapping dog, just jumping around him. Is it? Hey Worf, did you hear about Riker? Like just jumping around him. So
Yeah.
And like the tone of the conversation is really weird too, because Wesley's like, "I don't know, my dad's dead, so I don't really get to know him very much," like. But I mean, also he's 15, right? He's meant to be 14 or 15 in this, so that kind of tracks in that way that he doesn't really have like the social niceties to talk about such things. But he's like, anyway, so Riker's here with his estranged dad. Your dad's dead, so it's mine. What do you think, Mark? Whee!
It is, yeah, it is interesting. It is, yeah, that when he's like, yeah, I never really knew my dad. Worf says he never knew his dad, but that's not exactly true. Worf was like five when his dad died, but
And he had an adoptive dad.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
who he doesn't bring up in this conversation. But yeah, so he just kind of yells at Wesley and tells him to screw off, and Wesley's kind of left confused but concerned, and wants to kind of figure this out.
Aw.
Then we go to engineering, where we have all these civilian engineers who are in a terrible uniform.
They are.
Like
Awful.
Yes.
it's, they wear these yellow, it's like a yellow jumpsuit vest thing. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if I have a great shot, but I think that's what Geordi really objects to in this
That's
scene.
what he's mad about.
Yeah, like that. The civilian engineer thing of Starbase Montgomery. Maybe Starbase Montgomery's called such because it's civilian more.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Anyway,
when they're on a planet, they have names, but when they're in space, they have numbers.
Maybe that could be too. Anyway, so Geordi doesn't like all these, like this oversight. This is kind of like an office space where they say, "What do you really do here, Geordi? Would you say
What would you say you do here?
your contributions are important to the organization?" Anyway, so then Wesley kind of comes up to talk about Worf, and Geordi's not super interested at first. He's like, Worf's always grumpy. What do you like? Who cares? Like it's not a big thing. But Wesley stays on it. Wesley pushes the issue and says, I want to know more about it. Then we have this transition over to 10 Forward, where we see Pulaski's at the bar chatting with some friends. And
I'd like to point out, I think maybe it's because it's like a Pulaski romantic episode, but her hair is bigger. They floofed up her wig more and they put more makeup on her.
Very true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're trying to doll her up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, she looked cute. It's fine. I mean, as cute as you can look in that dumbass Sally Jesse wig, but
Yeah.
Sally Jesse Raphael.
she's beautiful.
Without the
woman.
glasses too. Give
Mhm.
her the glasses. Let's go full Sally Jesse.
Well, they've cured that by this time, unless you need Retinex. But
And now here is Chief O'Brien and his sideburns that come like
Oh yeah.
with the
they're
points,
so wild. Wait till if we have like a close up of them
Mhm.
side on. They're so bizarre. Whoever shaped them had
Yeah.
been partying. the
yeah,
night before.
maybe O'Brien's not in that opening scene just because. So Riker has now met up here with O'Brien in 10 Forward. I don't know if O'Brien was already here and Riker came here and sat down with him or whatever, or he said, "Hey, meet me in 10 Forward. I need to talk." Could have been either of those things.
Yeah, but this scene could have been more organic if O'Brien had been in the transporter room and then been like, "Hey, I saw that awkward exchange with your dad. Let's go have a coffee."
Yeah, that's the other thing. They're not drinking beer or anything like that. They're drinking tea or coffee. I think coffee. And yeah, it's and O'Brien doesn't know what is bothering Riker right away. Riker, he goes, "What is it, Riker? Is it your career? Is it love, women?" And he goes, "No, family." And
Ooh.
Brian goes, "Oh, that's a bad one. I know. You choose your friends and your enemies, but not your family." All those old adages. Talking about his father, and then
He loved his mother and father, though.
Mhm.
No, I'm gonna go get that. Yes, but
He doesn't have family issues.
he didn't. No, he doesn't.
He loved his parents.
I loved my mother and father. What are you talking about? It's one of my favorite quotes from when we got it on D Space Nine. Give me a second, guys, while I pull that. Just fill the air.
He definitely
Wow.
doesn't need family
Yeah.
problems, right?
Those
Yeah.
sideburns though.
They are.
I loved my parents.
I loved my parents.
I loved my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, those sideburns are wild. Like, look at the angle that it comes out from his ear.
It's pretty good. I'm going to go for that. Anyway, so then the Eggman himself shows up, Kyle Riker.
Hello.
This knit onesie is worse than anything that Jake Sisko ever wore.
The worst part of it for me is that I'm pretty sure he's wearing some kind of body shaping, like muscle suit thing underneath.
He is, yeah. He's wearing
Yeah.
shoulder pads at the very least.
Yeah.
And he's got to be wearing like sort of slightly tucking underwear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's girdled. He's girdled
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Girdled. This like he reminds me of like Danny DeVito in Batman Returns.
Batman Returns, yes.
Yeah. Right, it was the penguin,
He's the penguin.
Just like that weird onesie. Yeah. Anyway, Riker's
Old
spots,
penguin Riker in his onesie.
yeah, he's the penguin. Rah. And we also, we see as Kyle Riker comes into 10-4, all these people know who he is. All these officers, they're like, "Hey, Kyle, how's Mr. Riker?" They're shaking his hand. They're going around. He's quite the celebrity. Then Pulaski notices him, and while he's, Kyle Riker's continuing to shake hands, move around, he notices Catherine Pulaski.
He notices her, and she goes, "Doink!"
Yeah, she kind of
right back around.
turn around.
Yeah.
And they clearly know each other, and
They know each other.
They know each other.
They
And
know.
everything else. It's kissing on the lips. I think
This made me dislike her even more.
Did it really?
Yes, she's worked with Will for all this time and never mentioned to him that she dated his dad. What a bitch.
nearly married
that
him.
is a dick move too.
Like,
You're right.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I would agree to that too.
Yeah, it comes up in a few minutes here when Riker approaches her about it. But So,
but I mean, even it never came up when you were first introduced. Will Riker, is Kyle Riker your father? Yes, we know each other. You don't even have to say you were banging him. Like,
no.
Yeah.
Is Kyle Riker your dad? Oh, I know your dad.
because he's my daddy.
Right. We also find out that Pulaski has been married and divorced 3 times since she broke up with Kyle.
Yeah, 3 for 3, it says.
So if they have been estranged for 15 years and she has been married and divorced 3 times since dating him, and Riker had no idea that they had dated, that means that she has been in a relationship with Kyle Riker and married and divorced 3 times within 15 years.
It seems excessive. I agree.
Yeah.
And she still finds time to run sick bay.
And be
It's a modern woman having it all.
She's got a
Right
lot on the
on.
go. You got to give her that. So, but Riker's just watching them talk from across the room for a little bit here.
Stroking his beard.
Yeah, he's just stroking his beard. We're gonna come back to it. And then we flip back to engineering, where Wesley's talking to Data and Geordi more about this Worf thing. That they're worried about him, and Data says, "Well, maybe we can look into this." And Geordi kind of reluctantly decides to go along with it. And so they kind of say, "Okay, look into it." And then Wesley's like, "Okay, when are we getting to work? When are we going to figure this out?" And they say, "Oh no, you created the problem. Now you're going to find the solution." Loved this. Amazing.
I thought this was a really fun scene too. They're like, "Well, you brought it up, bro. It's up to you now."
Yeah, it's your quest. We'll
Have
help
at
you out.
it.
We'll help you if as needed, but no, this is the Wesley show. Good luck.
Mhm.
And so then he's like, "Oh, not super thrilled with that." But then I think later on, Data does get it kind of thrown back at him because Wesley goes, "I need to focus on my studies or my school."
And then Geordi says he tricked you with that line.
I can't believe you fell for that, is what he says. Anyway, more of Kyle Riker and Pulaski talking while Will Riker sits with O'Brien. And then like in the middle of like them sitting together, O'Brien and Riker just gets up and walks away. He doesn't like say, "Okay, I'm gonna go deal with this." He just pieces out.
Love it.
And then he goes, "Hello," kind of almost a hostile look here towards Pulaski. You never said.
I would give someone that same look if I'd been working with them for months and months and months, and they didn't tell me that they previously dated one of my parents.
Yeah.
Well, Riker then apologizes to her later in the episode and says, your personal life is none of my business." But
you should have still told me. That should have been, what he says right after.
Right. Well, it's not exactly a secret, Pulaski says. Well, but isn't it? Like, no one knows you. And why is it in your personnel file? How else would... It'd be known.
People begged.
Yeah.
Just like a list.
Known bangies.
Riker's personnel file takes up an entire one of those desk computers just for people he banged.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I get the impression that maybe Kyle Riker is a ladies' man, kind of like Will. You know, is that
With that hair?
He doesn't have the charisma that William has.
He
Sure.
doesn't. No, he's very off-putting.
And he doesn't have like Riker's baby blue eyes, so I guess he got them from his
Mhm.
mother,
Or
presumably.
the dimples.
Or the dimples, or any.
Or
of
the
them.
beard, or the swagger, or the brizz.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or the way to sit down. You know,
No.
all
Yeah,
these- none of these things.
He's lesser Riker.
he doesn't even know the Riker maneuver.
Yes, exactly.
True. Anyway, so we see here that Kyle's still sad about Will's not being nice to him. He's like, "What? Like 15 years is too long? I should call more."
I was busy. I was
It's
really
insane.
busy.
It's kind of insane, actually. Really.
It is,
Um,
yeah. The audacity of this man.
So in 10 forward, Data and Geordi then arrive, I guess, to deal with Worf. And there's more conversation here between Pulaski and Kyle. Help me out here. Was there anything specific between them here, other than about Will?
I think this is where they're talking about how she's been married and divorced and they're all still
Yeah.
friends and such and such. I think that's what's going on here.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so I got a lot of shots of it, and then anyway, so Worf, who is of course in a bad mood, is come to 10 forward not to socialize, but to stare out the window, waiting for, but doesn't want to be approached. You know, he could do
He
this-
so wanted to be approached.
he so wants to be approached because
I
Sure.
used to live with a gal lived with me who, when she was upset, she was a little insufferable. And when she was upset about something, she'd come in the same room as me and be like, until finally I'd go, what's wrong? You know? And I feel like that's 100% what Worf is doing here. Just
Oh, yeah.
exuding anger by the window.
pretty much
Don't
exactly.
talk to me.
Don't talk to me. I could find lots of empty rooms with windows like this to look at, but I won't. So, Geordi doesn't want to approach him, right? And so, you know, he's like, I can't believe you fell for Wesley's line, but Data's like, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to
got
give this a
this.
try. I got this. Don't worry. Geordi tries to warn him, but you know, Data twice is like, no, I got this.
I love this face.
He's like, I know exactly what to say to him. Data thinks. So Data then approaches, Geordi looking on, and Data says, "We've noticed that you seem upset. Maybe we think some socialization would be good for you and get you out of this." And basically, Worf just tells him to screw off, sir, with all due respect and such. And Data says, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's how that went." And Data then heads back over to Geordi, who goes, "Well, I tried. I don't know. He seems grumpy." Anyway, then we get a transition, and Riker has gone back to his quarters now, and he's looking at pictures from his childhood, presumably. I guess this is meant to be Anchorage, Alaska. He's looking at here.
You can
Yeah.
tell by the mountains in
Tell
the
by
background.
mountains, but the Anchorage I know is not that built up. Of course, it's the 24th century, so it would make
Lot
sense.
can happen.
Lots
can
happened
happen.
up there. It's kind of a remote city, but it's grown into a bustling metropolis here in the 24th century.
Gateway to Russia.
Perhaps. Then we see, I guess, this photo of Will Riker and his dad from years past.
This Photoshop is unforgivable, even for 1989. Like, guys, this is fucking terrible.
It's not good. Although I prefer Kyle Riker's outfit in this photo, so I would rather have been wearing that.
What is he wearing? Like a fishing vest? I think so, because
Yes.
they were fishing, right?
A fishing
Definitely
vest,
looks
and he's
like a
wearing
fishing
like
vest.
I'm not sure exactly what this necklace he has.
He's wearing
on,
like
but-
a puka shell necklace, like some
Yeah.
kind of.
and this non-baseball hat on Will Riker. Or, I don't know.
Is that a hat or is that like it looks like a sleep mask on his forehead?
I think it's a hat. Yeah, I think there's a close-up of it coming up here. But while Will Riker is going through his childhood memories, Worf shows up to talk to him, and he goes,
mask.
"Yeah, hey, Commander Riker, I heard you're taking on a new assignment. You're going to the Ares, right?" And Riker says, "I haven't decided yet, but Worf wants to go with him. Worf wants this. He might be dangerous. I don't want you to go. I want to go with you. When you go to the Ares, I'll come. Like I'll be your new chief of security or whatever you need me to be, right?"
So you get thrown around by anyone that comes onto the bridge.
Yeah. Worf notices the photo of Will Riker with his gorgeous hat and a big fish and fishing rod here. It is a hat, by the way, not a sleep mask, but not a nice hat actually. Anyway, so he says, "Oh, you caught the fish," and Riker says, "No, my dad took like the fishing rod away from me and basically did it, and then I had to pose with this fish I didn't catch technically."
That was sad. I thought that was like a nice detail in the writing to illustrate their relationship.
It tells you a lot about his dad.
Yeah,
right there, right? You know, so it's, but, you know, they're kind of talking about that and whatever. Anyway, but then Worf says, "I want to go with you on this mission," and Riker says, "Well, I haven't decided yet," and, you know, I don't know. It kind of just, he says, "That's it." You know, he kind of sends Worf on his way. And they don't really say much other than that to each other, if I'm remembering correctly. But
yeah, they kind of keep it short.
They keep that short and brief. Then up in the observation lounge, it's finally time for Kyle Riker to give Will Riker this briefing that he's been needing. Will Riker's like, "Let's get down to business," and Kyle says, "Hey, did you want to talk about it? Well, here's everything," and basically gives him the briefing in a USB stick or whatever, a memory.
You could have just handed it to me before, but I want to get you in the same room.
He could have emailed this apparently, and that would have been fine.
Meeting could have been an email.
It could have been an email, but but now Kyle basically wants to reconnect with his son, and Will's not too interested at this point at all, and
understandably,
yeah.
I mean, you can't just show up after 15 years of estrangement and be like, "Hey, I brought you a little thumb drive. Let's make up."
Yeah, well, his dad says, "Well, I'm not the best at communicating and keeping in touch," right? But so when Will Riker was 15 years old, because now he's 30 years old, I guess. You know, his dad just left, went off to, I don't know, do whatever he does, like give these military consultations to Starfleet or whatever. So then Will Riker had to kind of get on until he was 18. Presumably he went to Starfleet Academy after that and just kind of went on his way in his career. But
yeah, because his mom was dead and his dad fucked off when he was 15. And even in a utopian society, like,
still pretty
rough to take care of yourself when you're only 15 years old.
For sure, yeah, and Will's not too pleased with that whole thing, and not just that his dad left, but his dad basically didn't talk to him much, or if at all, over that period as well. So anyway, Will Riker kind of gives him the cold shoulder once again and says, he's not too interested in his dad's overtures. But now remember, Will Riker told that Klingon in that episode we watched a few weeks ago, which was called A Matter of Honor, where he's like, "Well, my dad disgraced us, and I don't want to talk to him." And Will's like, "It's your dad. You have to talk to him." Right? Well, here we are.
It's easier to give advice than to follow the advice
to take it. To take it, yeah. For sure. So then Kyle goes to sickbay to talk to Pulaski, mostly about Will and all of that, and then
sure.
And then Pulaski says, "Oh, I want you to meet somebody, Deanna Troi." And I think Kyle knows this is an ambush for some, because I think Deanna is kind of meant to come in here and maybe see if she can talk to Kyle about these issues with Will and see if they can foster any kind of reconciliation or dialogue between them. But Kyle's like, I know you're a betazoid. It's unclear to me if Kyle Riker knows that Deanna Troi is the ex-girlfriend of Will Riker or not.
Well, nobody is disclosing who they're banging apparently on this ship, so
It's a matter of it's a private matter.
He had never met her, and he didn't seem to know. If he didn't know, he pieced together that.
Yeah, he seems
that
like by
they
the
had
end of the
been
conversation.
together, but if they haven't spoken in 15 years, then he wouldn't have known about her.
True.
That makes sense. Yeah, like it seems like he's kept tabs on his son's career,
I suppose.
But not maybe his personal life. Like there's not like a tabloid he could read about Will Riker's dating Deanna Troi on Beta Z.
No, he would maybe if he listened to Jadzia and Julian's gossip podcast that I know they have on Deep Space Nine.
Then yes, if you listen to that, then they would know. This conversation between Deanna and Kyle is not productive. He's kind of hostile towards her, and
Look at his body language.
Body language. He's very like, I don't need you to tell me what's up and psychoanalyze me. And she sits down at the desk, and he kind of hovers over her. And there's just a few things with the body language, a few things with just his demeanor in general that kind of give this closed off feeling. He's just trying to get to the end of this conversation pretty much as quickly as possible.
And he's wrong. Let's be honest. The best person to give the point of view of what he should do for Will is Will's ex-girlfriend, who presumably he would have talked to about his dad.
Presumably.
And his feelings.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. But I love that she, is a bit gentle with him, but then she really lets him have it. Like, you should think about why you're in competition with your own son.
Yeah,
that's a hard truth.
Competition? Yeah. I would never. Come on. He could never beat me in Ambo-Jitsu. I'm the best.
Look at this man's pose. Like, who does that?
Insufferable Mr. Burns, evil genius bullshit.
Yeah.
Troy's not any of it though. She sees right through him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is technically her future father-in-law, because Deanna Troi does go on to marry Will eventually. You know
who wasn't at the wedding? Deadbeat dad Kyle Riker.
We did not see him at the wedding. That's true.
Maybe he was dead.
Dead. He was the deadbeat dad.
Yeah, that was basically like Nemesis is like 14 years after these events, so it's possible that he's not alive at that point. Anyway,
choked on this outfit.
Kyle leaves that conversation with Deanna Troi.
Can you go back one frame? What is this presumably medical contraption in the background?
It looks like a oh my gosh, why can't I think of the
word? Doctor would use.
Oh, maybe. No, I was thinking it looks like a telescope. Isn't the right word. What am I looking for? My brain's
microscope.
Microscope, yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never noticed that before, but yeah, it's quite the big piece of equipment. It looks like it's almost like a real thing that they've kind of stuck.
Yeah. This looks sciencey. Let's put it in sickbay.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that they built that prop just for the.
No, that's definitely.
They just flopped on the screen.
There.
Yeah.
It could be some piece of filming equipment too that they've just plopped back there because it looks like it could be medical.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a microfishy.
Oh, it might be a microfish. Microfish was still widely used in '89 for sure. Good call.
So then Riker goes back to his quarters. He's then approached by Captain Picard, and Captain Picard is like, "Are you reading about the first officer of the Ares? He can speak like 80 languages. It's amazing. He can Klingon, Romulan, all these different like languages. It's so great." He starts doing the pronunciations here.
He's got to be a descendant of Hoshi.
Yeah,
gotta be.
Picard has a funny vibe in this scene. It's almost like he's trying to like sell Riker on how cool and fun it'll be to go.
He's almost like, like Riker, you're gonna become like my equal. You're gonna become a fellow captain, right? Up here.
And then we can josh around in the ready room.
Well, but I think he's also he's sad. He doesn't want to lose him, but he's trying to be supportive. And that looks a little weird on Picard too. not
Picard is
necessarily. He
fangirling.
is supportive, but he's trying to be positive when he's not necessarily positive about the change.
It's probably very weird for him. You know, the
Picard
whole
does also
situation.
have daddy issues. Yes,
That is correct. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
almost everyone on the Enterprise has daddy issues.
Pretty much
Very
all
true.
the male characters, except for
Yeah.
Geordi, I guess. He's the only one.
He has other issues he has to deal with.
Yes.
Hollow
Okay.
addiction.
Inappropriate behavior in terms of
Yeah.
when it comes to holograms.
Jordy's got other issues. So Kyle Riker interrupts this conversation. He stops by his son's quarters. We get this exchange here between Picard and Kyle Riker, who, I don't know, they seem cordial, but he wants to talk to his son privately. Picard is oblivious to this idea that there's any kind of conflict here between the father and the son, I think. So he excuses himself, and then it kind of just becomes the two Rikers. This is where the conversation really starts to get heated, I think, where Kyle gets upset. He's like, I gave you 13 years. If that wasn't enough, then so be it. What do you want? You know,
That was such a heartbreaker. Just like, well, I tried and I wasn't good at it, so whatever. Who cares?
right. Like I guess so. I guess the idea is that his Will Riker's mother died when he was maybe 2 or so. And so 13. So from the time he's 2 years old to the time he's 15 years old, he's just with his dad. He's an only child, and his dad doesn't let him catch his own fish, and
Which is damaging to any young person.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, apparently, doesn't allow him to mourn his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Well, she was my wife.
Yeah,
You never
he's
knew her.
mad that he mourned his mother and thinks he's in competition over who mourns her more, and
Yeah.
who was allowed
Who
to miss her
mourns
more.
for more?
And who mourns for more? Yeah. Yeah, and that's really messed up as well. That
Yeah,
he
that's a
is
brutal thing to
arguing
say.
with him
Mhm.
about, well, she was your mom, but she was my wife, so it's worse for me that she.
And you
died.
were only 2, and you can't even remember
Yeah.
her. What is it like?
You
I'm
didn't
all
even know her. You didn't even know your mom, bro.
I'm all you got. And then he just walks out on him, and then I guess
He lost
Will
2 parents, man. He lost 2 parents, and he can't
Yeah.
realize that.
kind of been taking care of himself since he was 15 years old. Not kind of,
Yeah.
actually, fully, yeah. But Will Riker doesn't want deep down to have this conflict with his dad either, I think. But I don't know. But he has issues. Anyway, then we catch up here with Geordi and Data and engineering, where then Wesley shows up. He goes, I got it. I know what's been bothering Worf. Worf, it's the 10th anniversary of his rite of ascension, his age of ascension ceremony, which is kind of like a Klingon bar mitzvah, I guess. And
Klingon bar mitzvah, spooky, scary.
So we need like Worf to celebrate this this event has to be with other Klingons, but there are no other Klingons here. He's feeling culturally isolated. He needs to express himself and whatever. So they come up with this idea basically to do something on the holodeck for him, have a ceremony. Holographic Klingons, I guess that could work because they don't want to invite real Klingons. They mentioned that would be too much.
Now, what age, if this is the 10th anniversary of his age of ascension, what age is Worf? Is Worf like 26?
We know Worf is pretty young.
He's pretty young, hey?
Yeah.
We know
Yeah.
we know Worf's. I can tell you.
I'm going to Google what the Klingon age of ascension is.
Worf. Okay. Well, this episode takes place in 2365, and he was born in 2340. So he's 25. Worf is 25 years old.
25.
Okay. Yeah.
So Klingon Briss. And so that means Worf was, I guess, 15 when he went through the Ages of Ascension. Then.
Yeah.
So about the same age Riker was when his dad took off. So a coincidence? I don't know. I guess that makes Riker 5 years older than Worf. Anyway, so then Riker shows up here to Pulaski in sickbay and says, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that about your personal life. None of my business. But, how come you never told me about my father and whatever? And she talks about how that it didn't work out with them because he goes, oh, it must be his career. And she goes, no, there's more to your dad than you know. He was nearly killed with the Tholians or something.
Yeah.
One time. I wasn't quite
You-
sure. Did anyone understand this story? Because I watched it twice and I was trying to understand what plot.
He
He
was
didn't
the
give up.
only
He
one
kept
who was-
fighting.
Yeah, he was the only one who was strong enough to survive. He'll do whatever it takes. He's a survivor.
Okay.
But I don't know, like, why that's supposed to make Riker feel better about his dad abandoning him.
It's like,
And
yeah,
also why that would cause relationship issues with the two of them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Tholian, dealing with the Tholians, he had to fight so hard and he had to overcome insurmountable odds. But of course, being your father, that was too much for him, and he
Too
just
hard.
had to bounce. He just had a straight bounce out of that situation.
Yeah, it says the Tholians attacked the starbase, killing everyone except for Kyle, who was alone and had the will to endure, to face the pain, and to live. After he recovered from his wounds, Kyle worked at Tokyo base, where he helped work out the battle strategies, the Fukara, I don't know. Then he was asked to come to Starbase Montgomery. But so if he was at Tokyo base, which is on Earth, why didn't he ever say hi to Will?
Well, because he's
Yeah.
not good at talking about emotions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Japan and Alaska, not super far away from each other either.
Or even if Will was at like Starfleet Academy, like you can get from Tokyo to, like they have transporters now, so you can get
Yeah.
around the planet pretty fast.
Yeah.
Um,
No, he's a deadbeat. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all.
it's all that's so anyway, but Pulaski makes this pitch that he's actually a really great guy. You know, you don't really know your dad. And
I
so-
don't. And whose fault is that?
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Wait,
Yeah.
go back one frame.
And you
There's
can't
the
take
blue
her,
and red Kool-Aid slushy machine again.
you
It's
can't
always
take
there.
her you can't take her word on who is a good person because she's not one.
Yes.
Also, this scene made me realize how little privacy there is in sickbay. They're having this super emotional private conversation out in the middle of sickbay while there's a patient back there being worked on by either another doctor or a nurse, and all of these beds are less than 6 feet apart. Have they learned nothing about isolation? Like, it's wild. They do surgery in the middle of there with just random patients around the room. It's terrible.
Well,
there
the
are
ethics-
no
the ethics of
protocols.
medical
At
care.
Starfleet.
Rye saying he'll do whatever it takes to survive, even to the detriment of relationships. Yes. Whatever, Pulaski.
Yeah. I think that sums up my feelings about this scene as well. Whatever, Pulaski.
Pulaski.
Yeah.
Is this? I guess there's this follow-up scene here where they're talking more about the Age of Ascension stuff. Anyway, I'll skip that between Geordi and Data. Then we have this scene here with Riker and Picard up in the ready room, where
Yeah, do this.
Riker's
this
talking about
bit.
his promotion. He's like, should I take this promotion? Should I go to this ship? And I like Picard. He's like, I can't answer that for you. I don't know. Like, you know, that this is your life. This is your career. You have to decide what's right for you. You know, and Picard does his best to be a friend to him here, I think. Says, you know, there's good things to being the first officer of the Enterprise. There's benefits that come with that. You know, it's a high profile post, but being a captain on your own is also great. You know, Riker just looking at the fish.
He loves holding
I-
onto the wall and leaning when he's in emotional distress.
I want a painting of Riker like this to hang in my house. Like,
Yeah.
just in a pose like this, just looking at something.
Well, he'll give us another one in a second here, I think. 'Cause he kind of he moves to the other side of the room.
Oh.
Yeah, there he is.
He's so
leaning.
distraught.
Yeah. Should I be a captain or no? You know,
No, I
it's-
don't know.
And then he goes over to this room.
Is the
Oh,
coat
no!
on.
Now he's looking in the other direction, sadly.
Yeah. Sad.
So he is his father's son with the poses and
The
the.
poses, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, just the poses. This is
More poses.
This episode has the best screenshots, Dave.
Yes.
I'll
because
take
this is
this as a
Picard.
painting.
This is
too.
Picard saying, "Shh, don't tell anyone." But being there's nothing better than being the captain. Like you could be the first officer, you could be the pilot or the tactical officer, but nothing's better than being the captain. Is what he.
Is this the first time that Picard has ever done a shushy face? Because he's like,
It's the first time I got a screenshot of it. Yeah, so, at least. Anyway. I like to let it linger here, just because in the episode it's only like half a second, but it's great here. Anyway, so he leaves Riker with this sort of like, well, I don't really have the answer for you, but there's, lays out a few things to consider. And then Riker decides to take off. And Picard, after the conversation, he's a little pensive. He's like, well, I don't want to lose Riker, but, I'm trying to give honest advice. Then we head over to engineering, where
those outfits.
These guys in these ugly outfits are looking at Geordi's engine, and he doesn't like it. And Geordi is kind of looking up here. And then O'Brien shows up, I guess, to join them for the upcoming party with Worf. And Geordi says, how would you like it, O'Brien, if they were looking all over your transporter room and kind of going through all your specs and stuff? And he goes, they could do that. Everything's ship shape up in transporter room 3. You don't have to worry. Then Data kind of comes in. He's like, if I had emotions, I would feel like telling these guys to screw the hell off. And Geordi's like, yes, Data, yes, that's what we want. Anyway, I don't know why I had to get a screenshot of this weird-looking guy who had Wesley a pad for 1 second.
This is the face. It's the face.
It's the face.
Isn't he? What's his name from Drop Dead Diva and also from Superstore? Just looks like a.
No, but he does look like that guy.
Yeah, he does.
They can't be the same age because that guy is like this age now.
This is his dad.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is the Kyle Riker version of that.
This is the Kyle Riker. Yep. So as after he gets the pad, Wesley. No, I guess O'Brien doesn't know about the party yet because this is where Wesley invites him to the party. He says, "Hey, do you want to come to a party for Worf?" He's like, "A party for Worf? Okay." He's like, "Don't tell anyone, it's a secret." And
says that.
Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other people in that room.
It's a busy engine room today for a ship that's not even at warp. But
it's a secret. All these people hear nothing.
Yeah, it's a secret. Don't tell. And O'Brien's like, "Who am I going to tell anyway?" So I don't even know Julian yet. And then we go to Counselor Troy's office, where Will's like, "Are you going to miss me?" I would. I would miss me too, Deanna. And Deanna's like, "Well, it's how it goes and everything." But
I don't like goodbyes.
I don't like goodbyes.
How about until next time?
But she's like, "I can't read your emotions right now." And Will's like, "I guess your emotions are in the way too much, aren't they?" And I thought they were going to bang right here in the office. But I knew better. I've seen this before.
It's implied.
It's implied.
Oh, they were banging the entire 7 years. Come on.
They 100% were. I agree.
Yeah, that's been... I'm not saying no to that.
Neither did they. Wow.
Neither of them says no ever.
She starts to break down and she gets pretty sad. And they're there, dear. They're there. I'll always be on subspace. Don't worry. But anyway, then
we can still Snapchat, babe. Like
we can still Snapchat.
Totally
we can meet
cool.
up. We can meet up on bases, and shore leave, whatever. Anyway, then we get a transition where Kyle Riker has decided to park himself outside of his son's quarters and just wait for his son to come home.
Crazy.
Is that a little space where you can kind of sit, or is it just?
Maybe it's like a light. Yeah, it's like I don't know if you're meant to sit on it or not, but he's just waiting for his son here, and Riker's like, "Yeah, get in the room," and he's like, "Okay, my academy like formalities and politeness is done. Get out of here. I don't want to see you anymore." And this is kind of where their big argument really blows up, where he's like, "Get out," and he's like, "Is there Ambo-Jitsu? Too bad we can't go do some Ambo-Jitsu. We could take out some of this frustration on each other." Riker's like, "Oh, don't worry. We have a gymnasium equipped with Ambo-Jitsu. Get ready."
A lot of sexual tension.
It's on. Let's get this going. The fight of your lifetime. WrestleMania has nothing on this, Jaemeel.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of yaoi content, and the way that they're kind of, positioned, and the heightened sense of let's say emotions and masculinity, I was like, this could take a turn if it was a different country making it.
Why do you need a gymnasium? You have a holodeck.
This was just what I was about to say. Their gymnasiums don't need to be equipped with anything. They have a holodeck.
Mm-hmm.
The holodeck's being used for Worf's party, so it's
There's more than one
double
holodeck.
booked.
This is the Galaxy class.
There's also a holodeck. Yeah.
Mhm.
As we've established, also the Galaxy class is massive.
Yeah.
Like just the saucer section alone has got so many rooms and so many things. Yeah, that I guess. Hey,
There's
what should we do
multiple
with this room?
holodecks.
I don't know. Ambo-Jitsu gymnasium? Sure. What else are we gonna put in this room? I don't know. So, anyway, Kyle Raker stops by sickbay to talk to Pulaski, and she's not happy about this Ambo-Jitsu match. She finds it barbaric. And he's like, well, if I get in trouble, at least I know where to find a good doctor. You know, and
Yeah.
she's gives him a bit of a lecture here. But he's like, Will's been trying to beat me at Ambo-Jitsu since he was 8. He'll never be able to get me. She's like, you're no spring chicken, Kyle. You might get hurt. You might get banged over the head with a
Q-tip.
with a Q-tip. Like, he's not too. Anyway, they really go to some length here to make us feel like this match is going to maim one of them, or one of them is going to get really hurt in this thing that's supposed to be the supreme martial arts. But before we can get to Ambo-Jitsu, we need to do a rite of ascension here. In the holodeck, we have this Klingon set that Data has programmed. He then gets it to populate here with holographic Klingons, one of which is John Tesh from Entertainment Tonight.
Oh yeah, is this the Tash episode?
Mhm.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
He's
You
here.
mean John Tesh, the creator of Round Ball Rock, one of the most famous pieces of music for sports.
Exactly. That's
Just
exactly
saying.
what I meant.
He also wrote the theme song for Bobby's World.
That too.
Oh,
He was a great
Uh,
he played the
composer.
saxophone, right?
And piano.
And
I think.
piano.
Yeah.
He'll always be
And
entertaining
pain
tonight to
stick.
me. Well, while we're on this,
His-
the pain sticks, because I feel like we need to maybe just quickly talk about this. Hold on, I got it on here. A clip from 1989 or so. One sec. Stop screen. Share screen.
Show screen.
Share screen. Here we go. I think this is from 89. Here.
And
Whoopee.
Lieutenant Uhura, I always wanted to be her daughter.
It was also a dream come true for me to play a nasty Klingon for a day,
Me.
even if the makeup alone took over 3 hours. Oh! I have to go to the bathroom. Gene Roddenberry was the man of vision behind Star Trek. He died late last year, but his sensitivity and humor are evident in all Star Trek
Anyway.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there. Anyway, so he I remember that the episode with him and Mary Hart where he was talking about it. I couldn't find that, but I found that little clip. Anyway, they talk about the pain stick and how O'Brien once saw one used in real life and how it blew an animal's head off, or
It made an animal's head explode.
yeah, that's yikes.
So let's go poke Worf with them, guys. Let's go.
yeah. And then,
Two
this is
at
where
a time.
Pulaski's
Yeah.
like too graphic, O'Brien, too graphic. Let's move on. Then Deanna Troi was, I guess, tasked with bringing Worf to the holodeck for this whole event, and she was like, "Why are you taking me here?" She's like, "You'll see," and she's like, "Well, it might have something to do with Wesley Crusher." And he's like, "That boy, what has he done? What has he thought up now?" You know. She's like, come on. So she takes him to.
Come on, your Deanna Troi impression is terrible.
Well, I'm
And
yada
she's
yada.
like,
Come on, Worf.
It's almost as good as his Crusher.
It's
Yeah.
almost, yeah. I'm working on it. It's being refined. So Worf. Well, no, Deanna Troi does not go into this thing. She decides, I'm out on this. My job was to bring you to the holodeck, and that's it. Peace.
I'm gonna go make out with Riker some more before he
Yeah.
ships out to the Ares.
Riker's leaving, and I got a limited time left. So,
Yeah.
So Worf goes to the holodeck, and he meets, this party, I guess, if you want to call it that, because these are his family members, minus Geordi. No, Geordi's present. Oh, okay, so Riker, Picard, and Deanna are obviously not partaking, but all the other main characters pretty much are. Not Guinan, I guess she's not in this episode.
This is a cool set, though.
It is a
Yeah.
cool set.
Yeah.
And look how happy Worf is to be he at the prospect of getting stuck with pain sticks. Enduring
Do you
pain.
have any? He says some awesome things when he's going through getting poked. Do you have any of those
I
clips?
know. Sorry, I ran out of time.
My favorite is the bile of my enemies runs through my hands.
I'll go back.
Killer Worf impression, FYI.
Yeah. So yeah.
Would this be recorded for Klingon OnlyFans?
Definitely.
It's like Klingon does pain train or something like that.
Well, I mean, this entire set is a very Klingon BDSM dungeon
Yeah.
vibe.
Yes. They said that
It's a
enduring
Klingon
pain is like
hug dungeon.
a test of your spirituality in Klingon or something. Anyway.
Euphoria. Look at that.
It gets the pain sticks, always in the ribs.
And they turn him bright red when they're pain sticking him in his ribs. That can't be good.
As all these humans look on in horror, like Data, I guess.
Doesn't it look like a very emotional like R&B song? And he's just oh,
and everyone's like, do we have to watch this? Is this cultural understanding? Okay.
Little does O'Brien know that he's going to be suffering at Worf's bachelor party in a few short years.
Yes, I got it. We're gonna kill Worf. The road to Kalhaya is not an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Worf is like saying things sometimes in Klingon, sometimes in English, like about the bile of his enemies.
Speaking in tongues.
Speaking in tongues. Yeah. It's a long way to Kalhaya. Tipperary, if you will. I think we have the John Tesh coming up. Yeah, at one point Pulaski wants to jump in here, even though she knows that this is holographic pain sticks, and I guess their safeties are on that, so his head presumably won't explode. If that is something that can happen to Klingons.
I don't know. Looks like something's about to explode right here.
Yeah.
I know.
Baby.
It's the emotions that come with the pain.
Is this John Tesh? Or maybe no, I think this one's
That's
John
John
Tesh.
Tesh.
That's John Tesh there.
Yeah,
He's in the final segment here. As Worf's like getting the pain, and then he collapses here. This is my favorite. this is the
high note.
Yeah.
Right in the nipples.
Yeah. And Wesley is like, I am 15 and what is this?
What is this?
I regret arranging this party.
I hope this doesn't start something within me.
This is Klingon vanilla. Can you imagine a BDS club? Yeah, this is pretty vanilla.
We would not survive a Klingon BDSM club.
No, I don't think we're meant to. Anyway, so then Worf says, like, in kind of, while he's panting, "Thank you. This was great. I loved it." And then everyone's just like, "You're welcome," I guess,
Who walks out first?
Ironically too, like the end of the Dominion War would have been his 20th anniversary of his Age to Ascension. So perhaps he did this again after the Dominion War was over. Anyway, so then
with real Klingons that time.
Yeah, Bartok probably supplied them and the real pain sticks. We then get a scene up in the observation lounge here between Pulaski and Deanna Troi.
This sum total of which is men. Am I right?
Yeah.
Are they dumb and immature, and that's why we love them? Is that how it goes? Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
I felt like these are the two women in the two Rikers' lives, and there's meant to be some kind of connection here now. I don't know. Is this? Tell me.
She doesn't get invited to the wedding either.
Yeah.
That's right.
No.
Because Riker thinks she's a bitch.
Yeah. Remember how she never told me about my dad? Like,
yeah.
Why would we? We're not bringing her.
Uh-uh.
I don't know.
Sends the wedding invitation 15 years late.
Sorry, I'm not good at communicating, Dad. Not the best at it. Anyway, this conversation. Anyway, then we go to Ambo-Jitsu. I
kind of wish there was like a little like highlight over them, so I can just mistake it as Tron instead.
It's kind of Tron-like. They're wearing baseball kind of shoulder pads gear, but also it's also kind of hockey gear, or lacrosse. I don't know. I'm not sure which
It's
outfit.
a mix of all of those things painted.
Mhm.
painted. Who's got the better outfit, Kyle Riker, or Will Riker?
I like the red better.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Okay. I'm not sure about Riker's tights though. Underneath, they're a little tight. But
I'm okay with it.
Me too.
That's a feature, not an issue.
Yeah, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah.
I did notice in one of the close-ups of Riker, I'm pretty sure the visors are just made of paper, because if you look at like the trim on Riker's, it's like all cracked and shitty. So I think like they had to be real careful putting it up and down.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not
it's
very-
probably cardboard.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
maybe
think it is.
maybe they can actually see through it, and it's just meant to give that illusion that they can't. But yeah, and so
I think it's straight up cardboard.
they're both given these like staffs, these Q-tip things that on one end it's like a light and a sensor that I guess will make a sound if you're near the proximity of your opponent. And then once you know where your opponent is, I guess you're meant to club them over the head with this like the padded end of it.
Ultimate martial arts.
It's the ultimate martial arts. What's confusing to me is like at one point they don't know where each other are, but they always know where the edge of this circle is. Like they never fall off the circle at any point.
Maybe he has like a heat source of some sort.
Maybe, I don't know, but like there's this one part where they're in different directions, and then I know where you are, so coming along here, they both get some licks in this fight. I don't know. Riker eventually takes him off the platform. He goes, "There you go." Isn't it great? Okay, let's have a look at the visor. Yeah, it looks like it's disintegrating a little bit.
The last shot is like, okay, we got to make sure.
All right.
Once we lift it up, it's probably not going to survive.
No.
We only made one of these.
Do we know if the characters, like on their chest plates, on the platform and stuff, do we know if those are actual like Japanese or Chinese characters? Or I didn't look it up, so I don't, and I have no knowledge of it on my own, but I wonder.
And they even use they say phrases and words that I think are meant to be a specific language. I just don't know what language it is. Anyway, the fight continues here, round 2. And I think this is where this is where Kyle Riker uses the illegal maneuver, right? Or no, this is not where he uses it. This is where he's about to club his son over the head with this thing. But Will Riker manages to block it just in the nick of time.
There, that was it. Go back 2 shots. See? No, right there. No, the one where you can see the side of Riker's head. That one. Do you see what I mean? Like the trim of it is kind of like disintegrating.
Yeah, the trim looks like it's some kind of foam or something.
I wonder where they got the base helmet part from, because it doesn't look great either. But anyway.
No, it definitely looks spray painted.
Yeah. And like molded foam or something.
It is not flattering at all.
No, it's terrible helmet.
It's on such a handsome man, and he looks like a total dork.
I think this is where Will Riker says to his dad, I wish you were the one that died instead of my mother, or something like that. And then that kicks off the next round of the fight, where Will's got him on the ropes a few times, but Kyle kind of manages to push back. He even jumps. He even does the jump, and he avoids Will's thrust here. But then he uses an illegal maneuver where he basically hits him in the back of the knee. And takes him down here. I guess I don't know why it's illegal. I don't know how this game works, but
look at
we're told
those
it is.
Spray painted high tops he's wearing.
They are. They're so spray painted.
They're just high tops that are spray painted.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say they're like Reeboks or something, but they're probably like Reeboks.
Exactly.
Kmart specials.
Yeah.
We gotta get to fun facts and see how they came up with this stuff. Anyway, so then his dad's like, "Yeah, I've been cheating every time we ever fought, but you never knew, and that's why I always won." And
Riker's like, "Are you serious?" The guy's like, "Yeah, well, I mean, you could beat me by the time you were 13. I'd do something."
Yeah,
I left when you were 15, so it was only a couple of years.
Yeah.
And somehow this wins the respect of Will Riker.
This is what I'm talking about when I said earlier I couldn't believe how dumb the ending was.
Yeah,
literally nothing was resolved, and they hug, and then Riker's like, like
Well,
looks kind of happy at the
all
end
he
of
wants,
the scene.
all he wanted his dad to say was like he loved him and that he was proud of him, and that seems to be enough for Will. That's it. Like that's all he needs.
Well, he never
I
got
don't
it
know.
before. He never got
Never-
it before.
he-
So
and, you know, and I think Will has learned to be self-sufficient. So I guess he's, you know, I don't know, like how
he doesn't want him to. He doesn't want a dad per se. Like
Right. But
so.
I think he's I don't know, he'd rather be in this place with his dad than not, so he kind of just says, okay, thanks dad, love you too, and that's it.
See you in 15 years.
And so and somehow this leads to this next scene where you know, Picard comes to bridge and says, okay, we're ready to go, hey Geordi, what's up? And they say, well, they just recommended that you know, we change the variances in our calculations with the engine for those readings. And Geordi says, Picard says, that's what Data said from the beginning. Why wouldn't it be that way? Data goes, I know, stupid.
Yeah, imagine a computer knows better than human beings.
Imagine.
Yeah. Well, they had to go through the motions. So Picard says, well, I guess Riker's leaving, so you know, we're gonna have to get on the move. But then Riker walks onto the bridge right at that moment, and Picard's a little confused, but Riker says, hey, I've decided not to take the job. I'm gonna stay here with you. Is that okay? With your permission? And everyone's like, what? What? How could this be? How could, you know, we thought he was going, but Picard says, yeah, sure. Cool. So,
And then Riker's like, thanks, Captain Dad. I mean, Captain Picard, Dad, Jean-Luc. Okay, bye. Just engage.
Riker is his Holt.
Yeah, Riker's Peralta and Picard's Holt, and that's the dynamic now.
And to think, right? Daddy Riker has to go through this again with Thomas Riker. Yeah. That will come up.
Oh
He
yeah.
doesn't even know him yet. He can't wait to abandon him.
He can't wait to do an illegal Ambo-Jitsu move on him and then laugh. So
Jokes on Will. He actually ends up liking Thomas Riker better.
yeah,
Oh my God, Will would be so mad.
you would. Be.
That'd be so
Kyle
great.
and Thomas FaceTime and they're like, hey, Will, look who I'm at. Amazing.
They go to Rice together.
I know exactly why Will stayed on the Enterprise, and it has nothing to do with it being a high-profile thing or the Enterprise being the best ship in the fleet. It's the exact same reason he wouldn't want to be on a Navy ship in the middle of a sea. No women.
Yeah.
No women.
He's supposed to be going on this ship that's going to take all this time to get to somewhere where they think there might not even be anything or anyone.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
That sounds
Not
right.
for him.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good read.
Yeah.
And it's
He's got a
potentially
scratch.
more dangerous out there. Like it seemed like, and, you know, Picard also says, like, yeah, you'll be the captain of that ship, but that ship's kind of like a nothing ship. No one cares. Like, you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
So do you want to be the XO of the flagship, or do you want to go out in the brutal nowhere with no women and no fun?
but you can
I'd
take
stay on the
Worf if you
Enterprise,
want.
too.
Worf
You
takes
can
Worf.
Worf.
You get Worf.
You
Yeah,
and Worf in the
Worf.
pain sticks, load him up in a shuttle. Let's see you later.
Just don't let him near any cargo containers.
It'll be game over for everyone.
Or those barrels.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into the trivia section of the
Yes.
podcast and figure out what we can figure out. Like, were those in fact Nike high tops that were
Yes.
used?
They were Reborks. I told you.
Reborks.
I have a fun fact to share.
Go ahead.
The gentleman who played Kyle Riker looked so familiar to me, and I was like, I know he's been on something that I watched before, and I realized what it was before I looked it up, and then confirmed it. Golden Girls. He was
Okay.
Blanche's abusive boyfriend, Rex Harrington. I want to say the last name was Hutchinson. Anyway, he was a dick on Golden Girls too, and Blanche dumped him. See you, Daddy.
Mitchell Ryan is his name. Yeah.
I thought you were
and
going to mention he was on Dark Shadows and also on Dharma and Greg.
I did see that in
Yes.
his Wikipedia article.
He was the dad in Dharma and Greg, right?
He was
Like,
Yeah.
his dad, was
Dad?
he?
Yeah.
Yes.
He was in Hot Shots Part 2 as well.
Yeah. He was also on the short list to play Captain Picard.
Yeah. I
I
just
saw
read
that too.
Yeah, he was.
I'm so glad that didn't
That
work
it
out.
would not have been good.
No, he would have been like engaged.
He wouldn't have worn those sexy little robes.
He's still alive. This actor.
Of course he is.
No, I think he died in 2022. I thought I read.
Oh, really?
Maybe I'm
do I have-
mistaken.
Well, cool. Mitchell. Okay, let's get to the bio. Is he alive? Mitchell Ryan. Yeah, you're right. He did die in 2022. They just haven't updated Memory Alpha. Okay, so the Icarus Factor. Let's talk about it. Like we haven't been already.
Give us some fun facts. Delta details.
The Delta details. Okay, so this episode marks the first appearance of Counselor Troy's office.
Oh.
Okay.
According to the Star Trek Next Generation Companion, the second edition, 2 of the Klingons in the holodeck ritual had to wear old gorilla boots from Planet of the Apes, since all the other Klingon costumes were being used in the shooting of Star Trek V: The Final Frontier. However, that film finished principal photography on December 28th, 1988, while this episode was filmed in February of 89. So that doesn't make sense. Why did they have to put them in gorilla boots?
They used the uniforms from Star Trek V, though. Like, the uniforms that they're wearing are the same uniforms in Star Trek V.
Yeah. Well, that's
But they didn't have enough boots, so they decided to use
not.
the Enterprise Gymnasium set was designed by Andrew Neskoramny. Rick Sternbach incorporated numerous anime references to the Ambo-Jitsu mat and set pieces seen in this episode. Well, that should resonate with you, Jaemeel.
Yes.
Starting from this episode, the perpendicular wall to the right of the holodeck entrance with a turbolift door was removed. In its place, it's horizontal corridor paneling with a short diagonal corner. In the episode, up the
I've
long
always
ladder,
noticed that.
You've never seen that before? Yeah. It is shown that the corridor set now makes a right turn after the holodeck entrance.
Do you really notice that? I never noticed
No,
those
I'm
kinds of
joking.
things.
No.
Okay, good. I was like, really?
Memorize the ship layout. It's like, that seems a
Right?
little
Like-
weird.
Yeah. I
At least
noticed
one-
that in this episode, the light is slightly different down this hallway.
Well, how many lights are there, though?
Well, that's what I say to Jane sometimes. I'm like,
Always
don't you
4.
notice that that's not an Excelsior class ship? And she goes, no, I don't care about that stuff.
I think it's in First Contact where somebody says such and such deck 36. And I was like, there are only 24 decks on the Enterprise. And whoever I told was like, who cares? Like, how do you know that? Like, never mind. I think I might even be saying the wrong numbers.
Apparently, one scene was filmed and later cut from this episode. It included, it was a scene where Wesley Crusher convinces Data to talk to Worf on his behalf as Geordi protests.
So the lie to study,
Yeah.
the study lie.
The lie to study, yeah, that was actually filmed, but they left it out of the episode. Director Robert Iskov accepted this assignment as he was a fan of the original series. He remarked, "It was an emotional piece, a character piece between two people. The father has deserted Riker for like 25 years. Then he comes back and they have this confrontation. Well, according to Roddenberry, by the 24th century, we've all kind of resolved those kinds of feelings of anger. So it's very hard to play. If you're not going to serve the resentment and that anger, what happens once the two of them get together? You can't get into any real human drama." The original series, which was much more humanistic in this approach. And Rick Berman and others supported the director's attempts to make it more emotional, but they were all overruled by Roddenberry. The director's dissatisfaction with Roddenberry's handling of this episode led him to turn down offers to direct further Star Trek installments. He commented, "If you can't deal with the emotion, what's the point?" And
Yeah.
He should have came back for Deep Space Nine then. It's a shame that he kind of just moved on from that.
Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, I guess, well, because Roddenberry died.
Not to say that this was like so aptly directed that I'm craving for more, wonderful shots.
We've been saying throughout like the review here, it feels like Riker should be more angry. There should be more them hashing things out here. There's a lot left unsaid, and I think that's kind of what this seems to be a symptom of.
Doesn't it seem like more like emotionally damaged or damaging that they're just unable to communicate effectively, even if it's just anger and express themselves, it's just bottling it up? It seems worse.
Yeah.
Right?
Like because he basically Riker's gotten to the point of it's been long enough. I don't have the anger anymore. I just don't think of you and I don't need you in my life. That's worse than like being because at least if the anger is there, then there's still emotion behind it. But
Yeah.
once the person basically just writes it off and goes, this is it, and just sort of gray rocks the whole situation, that's it. That's
I agree. The pain stick ritual was heavily edited for this episode's first screening in the United Kingdom in 1991 due to the series' family viewing time slot of 6 p.m.
They can't handle the pain sticks.
No, they can't handle the pain sticks in the UK. They were like, this is our children are watching this? They'll be asking us about BDSM.
He's too
next.
happy getting hit with pain sticks. We don't want our kids. We don't want. We saw a little glint in Jimmy's eye. And we were worried.
Turn off this space smut this instant.
This is actually the second episode to mention Commander Riker being offered command of his own starship by Starfleet. He had been earlier offered the U.S.S. Drake, as mentioned in the first season episode, The Arsenal of Freedom, and was next offered the U.S.S. Melbourne in The Best of Both Worlds, which is coming up in season 3.
Yeah, Shelby.
Yeah. Picard mentions Riker's handling of the saucer separation from Encounter at Farpoint and offers him belated congratulations of his handling of it. And as we've mentioned, this episode established that Pulaski has been married 3 times at least and remains good friends with all 3 of her ex-spouses.
3 for 3.
Would they say that they're still good friends?
We'll have to check with them and find out and fact check that. I think that's all the facts I have for tonight, everybody. There was nothing. I couldn't find any trivia about where those costumes were made. So
in the back. It was made in the back.
Yeah. I'd say they went right in the dumpster afterwards too.
This guy went high,
covered in spray paint.
5 minutes. That's why the shoes look. They work from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
Just give me 10 seconds here, guys. I just have to.
10 seconds is what we'll give you, Dave. No problem. Anytime you ask for it, we will deliver it for sure.
You're awesome. Thank you. Let's jump into our ratings. The Icarus Factor, everybody. Jaemeel, what do you give this episode?
Oh. I would give this a 6. A 6.
A 6 from Jaemeel.
Yeah. It's like, look, folks, 6 is not a bad rating, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. It there's a lot to be desired, but at the same time, it checks a lot of boxes, and it does stuff. Stuff happens, So, yeah.
6. You're being generous.
I'm not gonna give it a 3.5. Okay, 3.5 and stuff is for like first season business. We've passed first season. Come on.
Yeah. Also, just on the earlier comment there, American TV violence is okay, boobs are not. British TV sex is okay, violence is not. That's how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the British have it probably more correct.
In Canada, both are okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
We like both.
We like naked boobs being violent, if possible. Okay. So, Ashley, your rating, please.
I'm going to go with 5.
Wow. Okay, 5. Heather.
I am going to give it a 6.5. Excuse me. Because it's not good enough to give it a 7, but I see above that I gave the Dolphin a 6, and it's definitely better than that. So I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Okay, 6.5. Noticing my formulas are not calculated correctly here. I'm going to have to.
Dave, how dare you?
I know, I suck at Excel.
How are we ever going to get to the Excel World Championships if you keep doing this Bush League shit right here?
You're right.
That actually did come up in a conversation group I am. And the people I was talking about were a little disappointed that there was a little bit too much sausage in terms of representation.
Mm-hmm.
Needed more women in the sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to give this episode a 6.5. I thought it was fine, but nothing amazing.
Huzzah!
Okay, and we mentioned Robert Iscove is one and only director credit for this show. Written by David Azale and Robert McCullough wrote the story. Okay, so coming up for our next episode, let's have a look. What are we doing? We're doing the episode Pen Pals.
Pen Pals.
Yes. Where's my pen pal image? Here it is.
Here it is. Right here.
Right here.
Yep. And yeah.
Oh my God. I always skip this one. So I forgot what that looks like. It looks like they took that wig that they put on the dog that time in original series and put it on this shot.
Yeah, she just needs the little horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the best. It's not my favorite makeup, but we were talking in our chat about, it's this one. Oh, Pen Pals. But we got Davin's coming in for it, even though he tried to get out of it. He will be coming in for it.
So he's going to give it a 10, right?
Something with Worf happens.
Something with Worf happens and it gives it a 10.
But Worf's not really in that episode very much. So
okay, 0. He's going to give it a 0.
Who else is on the pod next week? Am I on it?
Actually, I only have Justin and Davin written down.
Okay.
I want to make sure that's accurate. Yeah. So if you want to come in for that, Heather, you're more than welcome.
I don't.
Okay.
Actually, my friend is coming to town to visit, and she's arriving like Thursday supper time, so I can't next week.
Pen Pals,
I can do next week.
On a sex pest.
Dave.
Well, maybe, Okay.
Dave, I can do next week.
Oh, Ashley.
Nice.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, Ashley, you're in.
I feel like I should watch the episode in solidarity anyway, so
this is the episode that I will use as proof of Data actually does in fact have feelings.
Oh yeah. I can see that.
Your husband already proved he
does
didn't.
in fact have emotions.
Yeah.
Yes.
My husband and I have had that debate.
Who won?
Well,
I mean, it just went on for a while, and we kind of went in circles. But he was arguing from the point of this is what the show is telling you, and I'm like, but I was arguing from the point of this is what the show is showing
me. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you won.
It's
a fun thing to debate. Yeah.
That was on the Measure of a Man podcast where.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So so Pen Pals coming up next. We'll have Ashley, Justin, and Davin coming in for that one. Look for that. Make sure to check out other great content. Like on every Monday night, we're talking about the show For All Mankind with a great team over there. Our next episode is season 1, episode 5, Into the Abyss.
Spoiler, it's an excellent episode. Very exciting. Lots of cool stuff. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking for every Monday. I'm like, oh, it's another episode of For All Mankind. That's exciting. So check out those. Check out all our great content. We have Star Trek Strange New Worlds starting up in June. So we're probably going to put Next Gen on break while Strange New Worlds is going on.
It's on a break?
It's on a break.
We were on a break.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what else, guys? Well, every Wednesday you can see Jaemeel and Becky and I on Survivor, along with Jeff Mader and Jason R. Phillips and Josh Foster and a whole bunch of people over there on the Super Mader Brothers podcast. If you like Survivor, Big Brother. Are we doing Big Brother this year? We haven't.
I don't know.
So don't check out Big Brother, but look out for our Survivor coverage. And yeah, I think that those are all the main things. I think there's a Ninja Turtles trivial debates coming up soon as well. So
Cures in the Half Shell.
Turtle Power.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, I'm in for that. Oh look, it's your bougie ass with the Apple TVs. Well, yes, fair enough. We'll see you next week, though, Rye.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. Oh, Norman gave this a 3.5. Wow.
Ooh, Norman did not like it.
No.
Yeah.
There are better episodes, Norman. That's for sure.
Yes, that's the great thing about Next Gen.
I saw a meme or something that was like, my favorite things about Star Trek is that you have one episode that is just exploring what it means to be human and the depths of emotion. And then the next episode is super stupid.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's it. That's why I
Yes.
love it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Were you getting sad and serious? Never mind. Here's a dumb episode.
Never mind. We're going to go play baseball in the holiday. Whee!
Yeah.
Back to the opposition.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure what to end the episode on, guys. I didn't have a chance to get any clips of this, so maybe I'll play something Riker related.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I loved my parents.
I loved my parents. Okay. Well.
Do your Troy impression. Hi, Daddy Riker.
Hi, Daddy Riker. How's it going? Yeah.
Yeah. We apologize to Marina Sirtis and a host of communities.
I don't know. Okay, we'll go with I loved my parents. I don't know what else to go with.
I love my parents.
I loved my parents. Oh, I'm perfectly healthy, except I've got a disgusting cyst on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
Ew. Good night. End transmission.
Good night. Intermission. See you next